1. Watch out, kids. Going to school you all on advanced bleeding-edge traveling tips. Straight from the mouths of babes. Just got a live one check-in. I was feeling a little extra this evening and didn't hold back the snarky comments whenever she said something utterly ridiculous. Online travel agency reservation, 2 rooms, 3 nights, suites, no notes or requests on the reservation. At all. Guest comes to check in, tries to hand me her confirmation printout. As I always do, I decline, because that confirmation number doesn't even work in my system, and I don't care about their paper. I cut her off and tell her I can actually look it up 10 times quicker. What is the name on the reservation? Yeah, I can look at a name on a paper, but I just don't like having papers shoved in my face, so I always refuse them. Unless there ends up being a discrepancy, then I will look at them. She huffs a little, as if I have somehow destroyed the value of her stay by refusing to touch her lovely printout. Tells me her name, begrudgingly. Ah yes, I see that reservation for 2 rooms, 3 nights each. Both rooms are a suite. I just need your driver's license and credit card. But we already paid. Yes, when you purchased your rooms online at the time, it told you to be prepared to use a credit card for an incidental authorization hold, such as for room charges and damages. But we won't be damaging the room. Yes, but we won't be able to indubitably prove that until you check out, and a housekeeper checks the room to confirm, true? She looks oddly at me, hands over her credit card. I go through the checkout process, hand them their 2 sets of keys. We told OTA when we had to talk to support that we need the rooms on the same floor. They said they couldn't guarantee them, but that they would request them. Yes, well, they were requested, but at this property, it is impossible to grant this request. You see, we only have 1 suite per floor. There are no suites that are on the same floor. Well, they didn't tell me that, or I wouldn't have booked the room. I always advise for any questions about the property that you contact our front desk directly. Here is our business card in case you need to call the front desk off-property during your stay or in the future. From your room, you can reach us by dialing 0 from the landline phone in the room itself. Well, I tried to call before, but I got someone in Pakistan. That is doubtful. Our phone system does not redirect anywhere. Not to a call center, not to corporate, not to Pakistan, not to anywhere. The phone system is simply not set up to do that. There is no technical mechanism in place to do that. It simply cannot happen. You may have called an OTA number or the brand name corporate help desk. She argues for a few minutes, insistent that she called us directly. Eventually, I have her call the number, and then I answer right in front of her. Well, anyway, there is a tourist destination about an hour away. For our second night, I want to stay at a brand name hotel closer to the destination, and then come back here for my 3rd night. Well, you can certainly try to make a reservation at another property, but we do not transfer nights. This would be in addition to what you have booked here. Also, since you booked through OTA instead of dealing with us directly, I cannot shorten your stay here or make any changes to the reservation. Your reservation has a no-cancel policy, so you cannot make changes at all, even through them. You can try, but they will call me and ask for approval, and I will tell them no. Well, that seems strange. If it's the same brand name, why not honor it? Well, we are independently owned as a franchise. We do not share revenue with the other property owners. Even corporate hotels do not allow this. Rates are different at each property, and each property thrives on reservations which guarantees a guest will be staying at their property, not another property. Further, it's like a McDonald's. If you go buy a combo meal at one McDonald's, you probably can't expect to go pick it up at another location, right? Well, give me a room next to one of the other rooms and change the room type. We need to be on the same floor. I cannot do that. We have no more rooms available. We are booked. Well, next time I know what to do. I'll book each night individually. That way I can cancel if I need to. You're going to book each night individually through OTA, which has a no-cancel policy. Make yourself have to deal with multiple check-ins, have no way of canceling any of the nights anyway, and make front desk do extra paperwork, all for no payout at all. Are you sure that is better than just calling the hotel directly and explaining what you're trying to do so they can help you out? I have my ways. Sure. Is there anything else? I am a Diamond member and I want my points for this stay. Be sure to find my account. Well, since you booked through OTA the way you did, you do not get points for your stay. My whole account is messed up with them. I tried to call, and they said I lost all my points because I haven't traveled in 3 years. Oh yes, that will do it. You lose your points and status after a certain number of months of inactivity. Well, they didn't tell me that. They should have. It is clearly stated in the terms and conditions and on the FAQ of the members' website. Well, they should have reminded me. She said they tried emailing me, but it's an old email I don't even use anymore. So I yelled for a supervisor and they gave me half my points back. Oh, well, that was very nice. They didn't have to do that, and they might have even given you more if you didn't yell. Try not yelling next time, you see. As it states in your terms and conditions, you are explicitly responsible for letting us know of any changes of contact information, such as email address, physical address, or name. You did not do that, so they had no way of reaching you. Sounds like the supervisor did you a favor that was not required of us, in good faith. Well, next time when I make a reservation, I will know what to do. Call the hotel directly and let them figure out the best plan of attack with you. No, I will make each reservation individually for each night through OTA, a different reservation for each night, and then I will cancel the ones I don't want. Sure, I don't advise that because OTA won't let you cancel those, but sure, let me know if you need anything else during your stay. Have a great night. 2. Hello, dear friends of the front desk. I come today with a petty, rage-inducing story regarding my family's stay at a hotel in West Virginia. I was recently promoted to front office supervisor at a musical hotel in New York, owned by a chain well known for its various options. With this new promotion, instead of having to bug my boss for friends and family links every time my large family traveled somewhere, I can just send them out myself. So, as with any time my family is traveling, I got my grandparents a link so they could stop halfway from their house to Charlotte, North Carolina for my cousin's wedding. They got 2 rooms at the same place they've stopped every other time they've traveled to and from Florida for the winter. They stopped to visit my parents in Charlotte for a day or so as well. 1 room for them and 1 for my aunt, uncle, and another cousin, a 21-year-old female. My uncle is a doctor who was recently promoted to an entire area of clinics in their city, so he had to work late. My aunt drove earlier with my grandparents, and they arrived around mid-afternoon. The same guy that my grandparents see every time was there, happy, greeting them, and everyone got checked in just fine. They got the employee friends and family rate without any issue, $39 a night at this particular hotel, 1 room under my grandpa's name and 1 under my aunt's. My uncle and cousin didn't arrive until much later, around 12:30 to 1 a.m. The doors were locked and a sign said to call to be let in. They call, they're let in by the same guy that was working earlier, the same guy that seems to work all day and all night. My uncle tells them that they've already got a room checked in under my aunt's full name, and the guy says no problem. Tells them the room number, about 4 doors down from the lobby, and they're on their way. My cousin thought it was a little weird that the guy leaned over to stare at them while they got to the room, knocked and let in my aunt, but that's all. The very second that they close the door, their room phone rings. It's the guy at the desk screaming at them to get out. They were super confused and tired and asked why. But the man wouldn't listen and kept shouting, "Get the fuck out of my hotel right now, get out! You have too many people in your room, you have more than 4, get out!" He hung up, stormed over to the door, and started banging on it as hard as he could, still screaming to get the fuck out now. My uncle went back out to the desk with him to try and find out what the hell is going on. Trying to be calm despite driving for 6 hours and it being way past midnight at this point, he continues to complain and curse that he doesn't need their money and to get out. My uncle tried to explain that they need to know why they're being evicted. The guy keeps screaming, again after midnight in a hotel with rooms right off the lobby, as loud as he can that there's only 1 adult listed on file in the room and that the maximum occupancy was 2 for the room, with 2 queen beds? I don't think so. Now, listing only 1 person on a room is a mistake that anyone can make. More than that, as someone that works in a hotel, I understand that you want to be cautious of something like that. I get it. Sometimes we have extra charges for more than 2 adults in a room. Understandable. However, this is absolutely not the way to go about it. However, my uncle tries to reason with the man, saying they can buy another room, and that it was never their intention to try and to rip him off. When asked what another room would cost, the man told him $100, but he reiterated with lots of cursing that he didn't need the money. He's trying to run a business. Now pack and get out. Cursing pretty much every other word. So my uncle goes back to the room to get his stuff. My aunt is asking what's wrong, and he says they're being kicked out. My aunt gets out of her pajamas, gets dressed, and goes out to try to reason with him too. She says they will absolutely leave, but she just wants to know why. The man is way calmer with her, but still standoffish, and doesn't really give her any other info than maximum occupancy for that room is 2. You have more than 4, literally a bold-faced lie. When she explains that they only have 3 and that there are 2 beds, he remains unmoved, so she asks if they can just buy another room for the $100. My uncle comes up with their stuff packed, and the dude gets super aggro again, telling him to fuck off at the hotel. He's trying to run a business. My aunt explains that it's her husband, to which he looks at him again, scoffs and says bullshit. They get their IDs out and show him that they have the same last name, as well as both of them wearing their wedding bands. It was like a switch flipped in the man's brain. He just softens immediately. Oh, never mind, no problem, have a good sleep. They try to tell him that they're not trying to rip him off and they can pay for another room, but he just keeps repeating, no problem, go have a nice sleep, have a good rest, go, I don't want your money, you understand. You don't understand if you're running a business, have a good sleep. And then the dude just walked off into the back office. My aunt, uncle, and cousin were all left confused as hell. They wanted to leave, but they didn't want to wake up my grandparents because A, it was already close to 1:30 a.m., so they just wanted to sleep. B, they're just too fricking nice to worry about themselves over my grandparents despite this event. And C, if my grandpa found out about this, he would have killed the guy. They wedged the door under the handle because they were so afraid that the man would try to force his way in. They left the next morning with my grandparents without anyone getting breakfast, and only explained what happened as they were on the road. My grandpa wanted to turn around and go wreck the guy, but they convinced everyone that they had important stuff to do with the wedding and just let it go, for now. When they told me what happened, I was so mad I almost went cross-eyed. I immediately looked up whatever resources I could use to bring against this guy. Through my GM, I found our brand representative and gave him a call. He was understanding and upset and told me to have them go through guest relations. I gave them the number and they called, and were disconnected. 3 times. I'm giving them one more chance before I call the rep back and ask for other methods of recourse. I'm not letting this go. Nobody deserves to be treated this way, nobody for any reason, especially not because of their race. I'm giving this company a fair shot to fix this before I escalate it. Why? Do you think it's a race thing, you might wonder? I had considered that it might just be that he thought it was some kind of sick prostitution thing. But several things stuck out to me in particular. The man's demeanor and aggression levels immediately changed whenever my uncle was present, even when my aunt was there. He was completely okay with a bunch of white people, or white passing in my aunt's case, getting a $39 night rate. But the second a black man and woman walk in, it's a huge issue. When my aunt and grandparents went to a nearby restaurant for dinner, they were making small talk with the waiter and mentioned where they were staying. And he said, "Which one? Because one's really good. The other has some issues." The moment he realized that the white lady wasn't in danger because they were married, he became a different person and said, "All good," and just walked away. 3. Young couple checks in late at night, nothing unusual about them. I expedite the check-in and give them their keys and point them to the elevator, time to run audit. Decide to watch Bob Ross while doing so. As usual, Bob was effortlessly crafting a masterpiece. He was about to add some titanium white to canvas when a message from Super Elite Help Desk comes in. The couple that I just checked in not even 20 minutes ago has filed a complaint, and Help Desk made them a reservation at a different, also more expensive, property due to FDA's rude and incompetent behavior. They're demanding a full refund and expect the hotel pays for their expensive new room and 80,000 plus points for their troubles. The guest complaint mentions a number of things. A blood-covered bathtub, kitchen trash can was full of garbage, bed smelled like a dead animal somewhere in the room, and FDA refused to move them or refund them and was very rude and unprofessional. I jumped up out of my chair, checked the cameras to see what happened. Couple went to their car, got a big plastic bag, and went to their room. 12 minutes later, they walked out in a rush, empty-handed, and drove off. I wrote down the timestamp so I could add it to my report. Time for some detective work. Went up to the scene of the crime and began taking pictures. A pile of trash on the living room floor with a big empty plastic bag on the side. Kitchen was clean. Trash can was empty. Investigating the bathroom revealed no blood-covered bathtub, but instead a clean walk-in shower. Bed seems to have gotten some use, condom wrapper on the floor. I laughed thinking, wow, at least you had time for that. As I walked out of the room, decision already made. With all the evidence gathered, I write a short report for our records and copy-paste it as a response to the open case along with some crime scene pictures. No refunds, no compensation of any kind. And one more name on the DNR. The next few days we kept getting calls, emails, and the same BS being reopened over and over again as the guest refused to accept defeat, threatening to report charges as fraud, demanding my full name and contact number so he could sue me for what, I wonder, and even try to convince our GM to just give him the points for his troubles. The audacity of these people. Over the years, I've dealt with numerous scam attempts, including Mr. Patel and the Midnight FedEx package, but I had never before had anyone actually trash a room and attempt such a stupid scam. 4. It was the Saturday before Halloween, and I had been working the night audit on weekends for only a month or two. About 1 a.m., as was my habit, I stepped outside for a smoke break. I propped the front door open with a pumpkin so I could hear it if the phone rang and lit up a cigarette. I'd been out there for only a minute when I heard a strange sound, a faint, distant scream. Ah! I thought it was creepy, but assumed it came from somewhere far off, further in town maybe. But then it came again, louder. Ah! Was it coming from inside the hotel? Ah! 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 The screams were coming in chaotic staccato bursts and getting closer by the second. I turned to face the lobby in time to see a man come running from the right side hallway into the lobby, crashing into a wall, which jutted out into the hall space to accommodate the elevator. He was shirtless and moved in strange, jerking movements. He seemed to throw himself from wall to wall, as if being pulled by an invisible rope tied around his waist. He flung himself back and forth across the lobby. He even jumped and pulled himself up from the front desk, all the while screaming. Now, the front of the property was almost entirely glass, and I was standing right outside the open front door staring, mouth agape, at the scene before me. He could have easily spotted me, but fortunately did not appear to be in the most observant state of mind. I was utterly unprepared to deal with the situation. I had not even brought my cell phone out with me, and I would have to walk right by him in order to get back behind the desk. I heard the desk phone start ringing, and knew other guests were likely starting to wonder what all the ruckus was about. I didn't know what this man was capable of, but I knew I didn't want him to see me. There weren't many great hiding spots available in the parking lot, so I ducked down between a couple of parked cars. No sooner was I hidden than the man came hunting out the front door, running across the parking lot. Ah! 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 He reached an SUV that was parked across the hotel door and slammed into it. He began pounding his fists on the hood and humping the side of the car, shouting, "Ah! Ah! Ah!" with each thrust. At this point, I was very concerned. If he would do that to a car, what would he do if he noticed me? I calculated the time it would take me to get back to the front door, move the pumpkin, and get behind the desk and switch the lock on. I'm not a fast person in general, but I knew I was not outrunning this guy. I kept watch over him, inching around the car I was hiding behind to keep it between him and I. Eventually, he wandered far enough off I was able to hurry back inside and get the front door locked. I called the police and hoped they would arrive before he discovered the broken side door, which did not lock. When the police did arrive, they found him sprawled in the front grass. It looked as though they were able to detain him without any issue. They told me he had said his parents had thrown him out that night, and he was having a tough time. They took him away. The man had been staying in a room with an older couple. They had quietly slipped out the back with all their stuff and driven off during the commotion out front. No clue what the whole story was. 5. I was working part-time as a night auditor for a schmilton, and for the most part it was an easy gig. Mostly drunk couples or ball and church groups in the house. This particular weekend, we had a group of families in the house for a weekend of fun at our local amusement park. Now, these families worked for a pretty big internet and cable company, and it was all paid for, so you would think everyone would be on their best behavior. As I settled in for a long night, a group of Hispanic guys were downstairs drinking and playing pool. Normally, I would already have shut it down, but they were having fun and not causing any problems. Plus, I figured how hard they worked for the company, I would just let it slide. About an hour into it, one of the guys comes over and asks me do I see what's going on. I tell him no, as the desk faces the front door and the pool table area was obstructed by the marketplace, and it was already loud and people talking and music playing. He tells me a woman is obliterated and making a threat. Sure as shit, I get up and this white lady is in some kid's face, screaming that she would kick his ass, obviously hammered. I go to try to reason with her, and immediately 2 other guys from the group step in between me and her. Well, boy, am I thankful, because as soon as I got her attention, she had it out for me. Her boyfriend, standing not 5 feet away with their child, no less, not saying a word. She tried to grab me and throw punches, called me every name in the book. It took 3 of those guys to keep her away. She started to call the guys all sorts of names. I won't repeat, but I was shell-shocked at how calm they were. Finally, her boyfriend grabbed her, and I told them to go to the room now or you will be evicted. I felt bad for the sleeping baby in the stroller. I thought that was the end. I told the group if they would like, I could still have her evicted. They said no, she was just drunk and ruining everyone's night. I thanked the men and told them to wrap it up and call it a night. No sooner as I sat back down, the lady comes back out of the elevator, picks up half a bottle of someone's Jack Daniels, and takes it to the head. She starts her shit again. I don't hesitate and call the cops. Now, something to keep in mind where I work, the police department can take up to 3 hours to get somewhere. It doesn't matter. The woman is now in everyone's face. I call the room and tell the boyfriend, pack your stuff and get her and leave now. The police have been called. She proceeds to punch her boyfriend. Now she's throwing things, screaming at everyone, and the group is as calm as ever. That is until she sets her sights on me again and comes charging at the desk. I have 2 seconds to make it to the office to lock myself in. I call the police again, crying at this point, telling them I'm in serious danger and I need help now. They just tell me they see the call and will have someone out shortly. I don't exactly know what happened in the 5 minutes I was in the office, but they managed to get her outside and someone locked the front doors. The main guy, I believe his name was Jose, came and knocked on the door and told me I was safe now, and they were not leaving me until the police showed up. The lady was outside screaming, throwing chairs at the windows and cars parked on the street. After about 30 minutes, everything stopped. My manager showed up and the hotel was trashed. They found her passed out at our sister property about 2 hours later, and only then did the police show up. Fucking ridiculous. They were called in total over 20 times. To the group of guys who saved me from getting assaulted and staying with me through the night, you are truly amazing. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 93. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do share it around. Every extra view we get helps. We got to do a lot of the legwork to promote the videos ourselves at the moment. Okay, let's see. No special shoutouts today that I haven't... Nope, none today. I think the 7th is the next one, which will be Sunday. So let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is there anything from the past that no longer exists that you found a reasonable substitute for? Mentioning Bob Ross there, I used to kind of like watching those when I was younger. I found him on, it was one of the cable channels, I don't remember which one, but one of the kind of artsy cable channels. I think it was the same one that had Actress Studio in the UK. Can't remember which one it was. But there's no new Bob Ross anymore for obvious reasons. And awful what happened to his artwork and his name and everything. But anyway, But what I have found as a decent substitute is Baumgartner, the YouTube channel. It's an art restoration channel instead of someone actually painting, but very low key vibe, very kind of like a calm, very calm, soothing voice, and you kind of just get lost in the work of it all. Not quite as charming as Bob Ross, but who is? And he doesn't have the hair, I'm afraid. That's just something we'll have to make our peace with. So maybe you have others. Maybe there's things that no longer exist. You've found a reasonable substitute for an acceptable replacement. Or maybe something you enjoy even more. Let me know what you think in a comment below. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.